Hi everyone, my name is Sydney Quintana. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager at NCS. I have over 10 plus years of marketing experience and have been in the car wash industry for the past 2 years. Unfortunately, our sound did not work during the first part of the presentation, which means the recording was a little choppy. So I'm just recording a really quick intro for what you've missed, and then we'll dive into the rest of the recording. So, the first part, I introduced the other presenter with me, Bob Klein. He is the research director at ICA, has been for the past 15 years, and he's also the founder of 92529 Partners. He's worked with some of the biggest brands in the world with marketing and research. So, he has great insights and great experience. The next thing that we did was we played a game, my favorite, The Price is Right. We pulled 4 people up from the audience, gave them some sheets of paper, and we asked them to guess what they think the retail price of 2 items were. The first one was this Target bracelet. We allowed, obviously, the audience to help them pick what the price would be. And then the next one is the same bracelet, but the Tiffany name brand. So then we went through and revealed what the actual retail price is for a Target bracelet, and it's $19.97. And the retail price for a Tiffany was $800. We then gave out some chips to the winners, and then dove right into the measuring of brand value and how this worked with the Tiffany and Target bracelets that are similar but have a different value attached to them due to the brand. So with that, I'm going to pass it on over to our recording. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you enjoy.
What we're talking about this morning is the value of a brand. And answering the question, what is the value of a brand? We're going to take let me share with you first of all the equation of how we calculate the value of a brand. So we got 2 bracelets, both equally desirable. One's $800, Tiffany, that's our brand. One's $19.97, that's Target brand. We subtract those 2 numbers, we divide by $19.97, and then we multiply it by 100. What's the value of the brand in percentage? 3,906%. That's the magic of a brand. And the magic of this brand isn't just the hard good. Magic of the brand is the rational and, most of all, the emotional connection that happens when the name Tiffany comes off. What about branded chemistry? We couldn't make a harder right turn, I think, from jewelry, luxury jewelry, to chemistry. But what we're going to look at in the next few minutes is we're going to share with you the first ever study on the value of branded chemistry. And just as a spoiler alert, you don't have to shoot a lot of pictures of slides. NCS has published a complete report that at the end there'll be a QR code. You'll be able to scan it. You'll be able to get a copy of the report. I also just want to mention one thing. I'm not an employee of NCS. I have my own independent consultancy that I run. I'm the research director for the ICA. NCS hired me to conduct a survey, an independent survey. I had no bias going into it, and I share with you these results with no bias. This is what consumers had to say. We're going to look at 6 questions, 6 instances. Firstly, does branded chemistry even matter? Do consumers care whether it's a generic brand, whether it's an NCS brand, Armor All, Rain-X? Which brands are consumers aware of? Much harder to get people to care about a brand if they've never heard of the brand. What's the consumer perception of Rain-X and Armor All? How do they think about it? Do NCS brands influence customer preference? So does it matter, again, whether it's Rain-X, Armor All, or any other brand, or no brand at all? The question that has to be on everybody's mind: are consumers willing to pay more for Armor All and Rain-X? And lastly, what's the influence of NCS-branded chemistry in totality, so Rain-X, Armor All, Black Magic, on members and on non-members? How does it influence current members, prospective members, and current non-members? So the methodology of this study, this is a huge national study. It's census balanced, it's representative of the total United States across all demographic factors, geographically balanced as well to the United States. 4,510 past year conveyor or IBA washers. The confidence level in these data, because of the size of the sample, is plus or minus 1.9%. So we're all familiar with political polls. We know how that works. Margin of error in this is so small. 6 questions and 6 insights. Most fundamentally, before you go anywhere on any brand of branded chemistry, does it even matter? And the answer is, yeah, it matters. So on a 5-point scale, those who are market researchers, it's called the 5-point Likert scale, from agree very much to disagree very much. We're looking at those who say they agree somewhat or they agree very much. And when asked the question, it's important that car washes use quality products from brands I know and trust, products like detergents, clear coat protectants, tire cleaners. 68%, better than 2/3, said that it's important that car washes use trusted brands. And on the flip side, only 31% agree that there's no difference between cleaning products. And if you flip that around, that's 69% who do believe there's a difference. That's consumers talking. It's not NCS talking. It's not me. It's what consumers say. So brand doesn't really matter if people aren't aware of the brand. Though I will tell you, the 2 brands that we're talking about this morning, Armor All and Rain-X, even among people who don't claim awareness, the brands are very descriptive, and they have an influence even on people who aren't aware. So which brands are consumers aware of? This is a list of the leading car care brands in the industry. Here's the list. 2 of the top 3 brands, Rain-X and Armor All, at 66 and 65%. Turtle Wax at the top, an older legacy brand, at 78%. What's remarkable about this slide is when you look at the next highest brand, New Finish, take a look at that percentage. Simonize, a brand that you would probably expect would have off-the-charts awareness, 36%. These are the brands that consumers are most aware of by far, most top of mind. So what's the perception of Rain-X and Armor All? Both brands are held in exceptionally high regard. So we asked the question, how much do you agree with each of these statements about these brands? It's a premium quality brand, 4 out of 5 for both Rain-X and Armor All. The numbers are very close for both Rain-X and Armor All. It's a brand for people who care about quality. It's better than a generic or unknown brand, better than 70%. It's a brand I prefer. 2 out of 3 consumers say, given a choice, I prefer Rain-X and Armor All. It's unique. 66, 59%. But the question came up in the pilot rollout of this research with customers that NCS was sharing it with on a preliminary basis. But the obvious question comes up, how does that compare? So we took 2 protectant brands, Armor All, and Turtle Wax, and we redid the study. And we did those two brands head to head. And here's what we learned. Both brands, no surprise I think to anybody in this room, are seen as premium and better than a generic. They are not viewed as bargain brands. So those who agree strongly or agree somewhat, premium quality, it's almost universal for both brands. It's better than a generic or unknown brand. 4 out of 5 for Armor All and Turtle Wax. They don't see it as a bargain brand. Only about a third view the brands as bargain brands. But when you go into the deeper diagnostics of how consumers think about these brands, Armor All's more unique, it's more innovative, it's more valued. And I'm going to put a caveat on this next slide. These are good numbers overall for both brands, but there's a significant difference. Brand I prefer, 78% for Armor All, 63% for Turtle Wax. Modern, Armor All perceived to be more modern than Turtle Wax. Flip side, it's old-fashioned. Less than half think either brand is old-fashioned, but that's a significant, statistically significant difference in the perception of being viewed as an old-fashioned brand. Unique. 2 out of 3 for both brands believe it's unique, but there's an edge for Armor All. Innovative, 75 and 65. A little bit tough when you're a legacy brand, a much older brand, to get that innovative perception, in my own experience. A brand that I'd be proud to use. People are proud of these brands, but you have to look at the number for Armor All relative to Turtle Wax. And it's a brand I would recommend to others. You're going to see this play out in the preference that Armor All generates with consumers. 82% say they would recommend it to others. I'm not up here trying to sell you on Armor All. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. I'm presenting the facts. The reality is 2 great brands, 2 extremely well-known brands, but you can see the difference in brand perceptions. How does that perception, those perceptions that consumers have about these 2 NCS brands, how does it influence customer preference? And what consumers say is that it makes a big difference in car wash preference. So how much do you agree with these statements? It's important for my wash to use these products. Slightly over half. It would make a difference to me if my car wash used these products. I'd consider switching to another car wash that uses these products if my favorite wash doesn't already use them. Half. One of the biggest questions that I have heard constantly over the last 15 years from members is the challenge of differentiation. How do you set yourself apart? These 2 brands represent points of differentiation. And consumers are willing to go out of their way to find a wash that has these products, these brands. I'd be willing to drive farther to a wash that uses these products, roughly half. And how much farther would they be willing to drive? On average, they say they'd be willing to drive about 10 minutes further. And when you see the results in the full report, when you click the QR code a little bit later, you'll be able to see the details of this. So about 10 minutes farther, and about of those people who say that half or so that say they're willing to drive farther, that's the distance that they'd be willing to go. And heck, it all comes down to this, right? Are they willing to pay more? And half of consumers say Rain-X and Armor All are worth paying more for. 52% for Rain-X, 53% for Armor All. And then how much more would they be willing to pay? On average, consumers say they'd be willing to pay somewhere in that range of $3.25 to $3.50 for NCS branded chemistry. And 6, what's the influence first of NCS chemistry, of Armor All, Rain-X, and we brought into the equation brand magic as well. So the totality of these branded chemistry products. So first on subscription members. Current members would be very likely to consider upgrading. That's a big deal. More margin, in fact, and more loyalty. 61% would be very likely to upgrade their membership. And among those customers that maybe you fear the most, the ones who say they might or might not renew, the churn factor, 23% say, these undecideds, that it would have an impact on renewing their membership. And another 47% say that they'd be somewhat more likely. So you're dealing with somewhere in the range here, or actually exactly 70% say that the presence of these two brands can cause them to pause and reconsider. And what about non-members? And if there's any topic in terms of industry growth that I've heard more about from owners, operators, it's what's going on with the non-members. 52% of retail customers, I refer to them as transactional customers, customers that aren't loyal as a customer would be. 52% of retail customers would consider switching to another wash that uses NCS branded chemistry. 31% would be a lot more likely, here we go, to wash more often. And frequency is such an opportunity in our industry. If you can get the average washer to wash one more time, just one more time in the year, you can increase your volume by 11%. It's huge. So 31%, a lot more likely, and another 30%, 7%, a little more likely. I like to look at that top box. We call that the commitment box. So a lot more likely, 31%. In the real world, is that actually how it's going to play out? It's actually going to play out? Not necessarily, but it's a really great indication of how consumers are thinking and feeling. 27% of non-members say they'd be a lot more likely to purchase a membership if the car wash used these 3 branded chemistry products. So 27%, and another 38% who'd be a little bit more likely. So, does brand matter? It's sure inarguable in the case of Tiffany. I think you've got fact-based evidence now that there is a difference that branded chemistry makes. There's a great big but in this, and this is the linchpin of the whole story.
Thanks, Bob. So lots of great information. We can see that brands do matter, but like Bob said, they only matter if you make them matter. So you could have the coolest logo, the coolest product, but if you're not marketing that and there is no strategy behind it, you have a sticker in a dream. You're not gonna see that brand magic in action. So how can you really leverage these brands? And brands win when they're marketed, when they show up, and when they are driving those customer decisions. So think about some of the biggest brands in the industry. We have Target, Amazon, Ford, Disney. They are marketing consistently, strategically. And they're not just selling that product or experience, they're taking up that mind share, that mental real estate. So when it is time to make a decision, consumers just know. They know that brand, they know what it stands for, and they know what decision to make. So this is what I'm gonna dive into during my part of the presentation is brand strength and salience. So how can you make customers' brains pick you? The next is brand pairing. What is that strength in brand pairing? By taking your strong brand that you have worked so hard to build in your community and pairing it with these strong brands we just talked about. And then marketing strategy. How can you impact and use those brands to your benefit? We're gonna start with brand strength and salience. So this is not just awareness. Salience is being number one in the mind of consumers when it's decision time. So think about you cut your finger. You're gonna go for Band-Aid. Well, Band-Aid is the brand name. Everyone else is adhesive bandages, but they have created this awareness in this brand that's just, your mind goes to Band-Aid. Think about Kleenex. You need to blow your nose. Maybe you'll grab a tissue, but you're grabbing a Kleenex, whether or not that's the brand. This is the type of real estate and the type of awareness that they have created in the industry. And the most exciting part is, like Bob showed, Armor All and Rain-X have already done this for you. They are living rent-free in your customers' minds, so now you have the power to harness that. So we're gonna start with Armor All. This has been around since the 60s, building credibility, staying relevant, earning trust. So we've seen this racing, they're automotive, they're in Walmart, they're online. They have worked into every marketing channel consumers are on and created that. So even non-car enthusiasts like myself, I knew about Armor All before ever starting in the industry. I remember walking through Walmart and seeing this. Fun fact, 1 in 3 households have an Armor All product in their house right now. So they're already there, they're already making a statement. Next is Rain-X. So they are not just competing in the rain repellent industry, they have dominated completely. So the Kleenex of rain protection. So you think Rain-X, you think rain repellent, they have created this synergy between the two. And they've been reinforcing for decades. So they spend tens of millions of dollars every year staying top of mind. And you are able to borrow what they are doing to use at your wash. So fewer than 5% of brands ever make it to this level. I mentioned at the beginning, I've been in branding and marketing 10 plus years. And when I came into the car wash industry and I saw that NCS and car wash operators had access to these two brands, it was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, how do they have this and it hasn't been utilized to its advantage? If anyone here is in marketing or branding, I'm sure you would echo the same sentiment. This is just pure gold. You have so much opportunity at your fingertips, and that's why I'm so excited to be up here today. So next, brand pairing. What does this mean for you? So you have a strong brand, like I said. You have put in the work. You've made your brand be known in your community for car washing. So what would be the benefit of pairing those brands? And it's not just you're gonna be borrowing their trust, credibility, and brand magic as a theory. Like, this has been done time and time again in different sectors. So for example, you may have seen these in your grocery store. Haagen-Dazs and Bailey's teamed up, created this adult ice cream. We have Breyers and Oreo, same thing. They got us excited. Maybe you wouldn't normally buy Breyers ice cream, but you love Oreos. So guess what? Next time you're going through the store and you see this, you're gonna give it a try. This is one that I'm sure everyone has seen or heard of. Who here has tried the Doritos Locos Tacos? Sometime in your life, yes, 2 hands, yes, absolutely. So this is one that in the marketing and branding space continues to be talked about. This was in 2012 and it's still absolutely relevant. So they did the Doritos Locos Tacos. This one taco created 15,000 jobs for Taco Bell to keep up with the demand. And less than 1 year after the launch, they sold $1 billion in this one taco. Like, the amount of brand equity that they created by combining these two is still being talked about today. And then these two global brands. So you have Nike and Apple coming together to create that Apple Watch Nike edition, taking those who are motivated, they're into fitness, and pairing them with that technology. And I'm sure many of you can already think of brands that you've seen do this before that have influenced your decision to give something a try. So pairing trusted brands works. I could go on for a long time telling you all the examples and what has happened, but we're gonna jump into how you do it. So you might be thinking, this is great, cool. I don't have time. Maybe you don't have the desire. This isn't your passion like it is mine. And the great thing is, it doesn't have to be. So NCS, myself and the team, we have created customer growth and success. So how can we partner with you to leverage these brands so you don't have to take that time and mental energy to try and come up with it yourself? And so that's what I want to show you really quick. Please know that this is something where after we can set up calls later, like we are here to be your support. And we do it through these two strategies. You can't have one without the other if you want to have a strong impact. So on-site marketing, what is your signage? How are you training your staff? And then off-site, how are you talking to your customers and continuing to build that full story from start to finish? So on-site branding obviously does the heavy lifting. It's creating those visual cues that are grabbing attention. It's helping reinforce the messaging from start to finish. So this allows you, we'll go back to it in a little bit, but for digital marketing, if they see something online and then they come onto your site and they see the same thing, chances of them remembering it and taking action has grown exponentially. Menu strategy. This is one of the coolest things that we have been able to do. So really you have about 10 seconds when someone pulls up to that point of sale and is looking at your menu to make a decision. Sometimes less if you have a long line and they feel the pressure to decide what to do. So we were able to take two designs here. You see the left, kind of hard to see at the top, but there is no brands on the top. The one on the right, you see those two Rain-X and Armor All brands. And what this is showing, 75% of the time, people are choosing that branded option. So the way that this heat map works is it's showing you on the left, they're kind of going down, reading through that. Not tons of red, but there is some. The one on the right, we were able to see they would go down, they would read through it in that 10 seconds. 60% of the time, they're going right back up to that top to look at it again. So what we're able to do is take your menu, put it into the software and say, how can we optimize? How can we make this work for you? Because this is your selling tool, and this is gonna help your CSAs make those upsells. The next, and one of the biggest things that we've heard is, how do our CSAs talk about this? Yes, we're the experts, we know what the benefits are of Rain-X and Armor All, but how do you communicate that to your CSAs in a way that they feel comfortable talking to your customers about it? They're part of your brand experience, so by giving them these staff sale guides and these talking points, they're gonna have the confidence and the willingness to talk about this and bring it up as a customer comes up. It's gonna help them feel aligned, and it's gonna help you with training. Then we come to off-site marketing. So we have so many plug-and-play options. This is great if you have a marketing team or you don't have a marketing team. You're able to adjust it to fit your brand voice, but you don't have to go through that mental load of, okay, what type of benefits am I trying to tell the customer? What's really gonna resonate with them? We've done that for you. If you don't have a marketing team, this is perfect. We have the graphics, we have the social templates, we have the videos. If you have a mobile app, this just gives you the opportunity to be where your customers are and reinforce that message so when they do come to your site, they've already been primed and they're ready to go. So it's simple. If you build it and you market it the right way, they will come. And probably, as Bob has shown, pay that premium price. So this is where it's your turn. So we are here to turn that brand magic into real margin. So I need everyone to take out their phones, scan this QR code. I'm just gonna put this up here because we're gonna get into this little blue package soon. So on this page, this is where you can take that next step. So the full report that Bob had covered, we're gonna send that to you. So you'll wanna make sure to click that. We can customize that survey to fit your customers and your footprint. We did this across the US. And maybe you're saying, well, maybe my area is a little different. Maybe I'm in Idaho and I wanna make sure that they do care about these brands. Great, guess what? We're gonna do that report with you and make sure that, yes, we are going to market the right ones to the right people at the right time. And last, we have the branded chemistry marketing plan. We can provide that with you. We can work with you. We are here to be a resource, partner together, and create that brand magic. And in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to look online. Whoever's filled this out will be in a drawing for a Tiffany bracelet. So taking that brand magic that Tiffany's has created, we saw it at the beginning, Target, the exact same bracelet. $19.97 for Target, $800 for Tiffany. So we have this prize. I will text you if you are the winner. Come by the NCS booth and grab it. But as you can see, we're very passionate. We've seen this research in action, and we're here to help you guys turn this real magic into real margin.